to the Desert Heathens podcast, where we sip a new bourbon every episode and rattle our way through controversial topics. I'm Kelly.
I'm April.
I'm Taylor.
And we're the Desert Heathens. So today we're discussing nature versus nurture and how it affects us as growing up, as children. Is it in our nature to be one way? Is it nurture? And along with this episode, we're going to be drinking a Brothers Bond bourbon, which, if anybody knows, it's the brothers from the Vampire Diaries. And this podcast is based on us siblings. It's to help us establish our own individuality in this world. A non-disclosure, we are not therapists, and everything we're going to be discussing is pretty much based on our own personal experiences. So don't say we told you to jump off a cliff, because it's going to make you feel better, because we will not be held liable, and we have no money.
Yeah, so you're shit out of luck.
So SOL. And to the family members that will be listening, we forgave you a long time ago. We just feel that it is important for us to reach people, help someone, and especially in a time in this world where we are not listening to the cries for help. We're too busy badgering and being angry and hurtful. So, now here we go.
Fuck.
Okay, so who's gonna kick us off?
Not me.
Probably you, because, big brother.
Big
Let's
brother.
start with trying the bourbon, since,
Yeah, we're gonna start off with this bourbon if I can get it open. Which I don't have a knife.
Of course you don't. Why would you?
Yeah, of course.
Here. You can just be a heathen and use your teeth.
Oh,
Or be a strong man. Twisty, twist.
why didn't you open it beforehand?
Well, we were kind of focusing on getting good lighting in here. It was too bright with the big light.
Yeah.
It was too dark without it, and then.
And I also want to show that this bottle has never been opened.
Yeah.
It's delicious.
Hopefully.
It's bourbon, so we'll see.
It
I mean-
looks delicious.
Yeah. Too bad you're not here to try it.
It actually smells phenomenal.
Whatever. Just rubbing it.
Yeah, I'm going to.
It smells really good.
Whatever. It's cool.
It does smell really
It does. Brothers Bond bourbon, I have it. No, I'm not going to share it. Just kidding. Anyway, so how are we going to kick this off?
good. What were we talking about
What?
the other day that got us thinking about it more?
Well, what's a story that sticks out that you think, I guess, our parents or like Becky or anybody that sticks out and be like, wow, I'm going to remember this for the rest of our lives?
Well, I don't remember anything, so.
That is very true. That is very true.
Well, like whenever you proposed this topic, the first thing that came to mind was siblings with alcoholic parents. One sibling is a raging alcoholic, the other one it never touched alcohol in his entire life. And when you ask the brothers why, they both say because my dad was an alcoholic.
Yeah.
Please
Pardon
excuse me.
us.
Children.
Sawyer is still awake. Yeah, no, and I think that's absolutely true. A lot of people blame their parents on this is.
For their problems.
Yes, I'm like this because of my parents. And I know.
You get to choose. Like, yes, you have that predisposed, like, my parents are alcoholics, but I feel like at the end of the day, you get to choose if you want to be like them or if you don't.
Yeah, and I think it also comes back to like our parents got divorced when I was 15. You were 4. Like what is it in our destiny to just sit there and repeat the same cycle of? No, we grew up and I want to say our parents did the best they could at a young age to raise us, but it's also we went through things, you know, like we thought it was normal for us to beat each other up and knock each other out because that's what our dad did with us. That was his way of showing his love and his affection. When you see it now as an adult,
That's not how things are supposed to be.
that's not how it's supposed to be. And
Well,
you
I
know,
feel like it's so hard because when you are in that situation, when you're in a household that isn't the healthiest, you grow up thinking that it's so normal. You know, like you don't know that you deserve better or that things aren't supposed to be that way until you get out of it. And I feel like so many people, they can't. Like there's nowhere for them to go to get out of it to realize that they deserve better.
yeah, and I think that comes back to the nurturing. Do we think for ourselves, or are we thinking with what our parents gave us? You know, like, hell, our grandmother, they're Democrats. Our family has always been Democrats, yet Dad tried to instill in us that, you know, think for yourself. You need to think for yourself. You need to find out what's best for you. And I can remember from the longest time since forever, and yes, this is probably going to get political, but I never agreed with the Democratic Party. I never believed in, yes, I think we should help people. By all means, we should help people and give them a helping hand. But how far is too far where they end up relying so much on the government? And hell, just growing up, you know, you see people that lived off of the Lone Star system or the Medicaid system, and there's a lot of people that I went to school with that I know that lived off of that, and now they have kids and they're living that same system. And I've run into these people and we've talked, and well, that's how I grew up.
Yeah.
I grew up on the system. Why would I want to get out of the system when the system is taking care of me? When I think in all, I may not have any kids, but I also feel like we need to raise our kids, our children, our nieces, our nephews, our little cousins. We need to raise them to be successful, not set them up for failure. And I think a lot of that, our generation is so wound up in emotions and feelings and tantrums. We can use Sawyer as an example.
The tantrum queen.
Yeah, I'm not saying you and Spencer did anything wrong. It's just y'all wanted to give her love and affection, and what happened to it? It turned around and
bit me in the ass.
and now we have a terror, and we're trying to break her from that.
Yeah. Well, it's, you know, the girls. Temperance was spoiled freaking rotten as a child, as a toddler, infant. Her first 3 years of life, she wasn't in the best environment at home. It was a very, not a lot of love in the household.
Yeah.
But she grew up with a lot of love in her heart. And Sawyer, her first 3 years were a lot more loving than Temperance is. And I'm not saying that Sawyer's not loving. She's very, very sweet when she wants to be. But she's spoiled, literally rotten.
Yeah.
You know, that's why she has her tantrums. So she gets everything that she wants and she doesn't know any other way. Temperance pretty much had the same thing, but with the lack of love in the household. Not that I didn't love her or Mima or anybody.
Then that comes with
but
the question: is it nature?
Yeah.
Or is it nurture? Are we wired a certain way the moment we were born to become who we are today? Are we? Like, is that the
I feel like we are wired a certain way because I feel like you're gonna be who you're supposed to be, but I feel like it's also a part of growing up where you grow up, because there are certain things that I do that I can track back to, this is because this is what happened when we were kids, and this is what we did, and this is why I do the things I do. So I feel like it has to be a little bit of both. Like, you're set to be a certain person almost.
But your environment plays a big part too. Well,
Yeah.
when I went to Spirit Halloween, having a grand old time with the children's. And then, you know, the lovely habit of our father, when you're done, and you want to leave. And when's the last time I've gone anywhere with Daddy? But that's just how it goes. Like, that's just something that was instilled in me because that's the way Daddy always was.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're just like getting frustrated and angry. You know, like when you get upset over like just working goats, you know, goat doesn't go the right way. My initial reaction is beat the living crap out of the goat. When it's not that animal's fault that they don't know any better. You know, it's just like what's going on in Del Rio that we talked about earlier. You know, there's so many adults pushing hatred, and there's a lot of these children that are looking up to these adults, and they're seeing them pushing this hatred. And it's not hatred, and it's hatred all around the circle. It's the liberals, the conservatives, the Democrats, the Republicans. They're pushing, well, I don't agree with you and this and that, and you're pushing that hate instead of, you know, let's sit here and talk about it.
Let's come up with a freaking solution.
Yeah.
You know?
Children are the future of our tomorrows.
And
they're the seeds of the earth. They're the trees. Children are everything, and I strongly believe that children should be protected. They should. I mean, heck, remember when you're on the fence about getting temperances baptized, and everybody pushed for it, and you're just kind of like nah. And I think that comes back to like that spirituality. Whether you believe in God, whether you are a Norse pagan or you're paganism, whatever you practice, children are pure. They're the light. They're everything. And when a child gets touched by darkness, you see that, especially us when we have been touched by darkness.
Yeah.
We've been touched by things that we shouldn't have ever gone through. And I think that had a lot to do with why we came out the way we did and lived the way we did. But back to like temperance is we just wanted to get just that protection, you know? And I think all that comes back with faith. It comes back to with what you believe in.
Like, temperance is in a Catholic school.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a practicing Catholic. Raised Catholic.
Yeah.
I went for the school because it's a good environment.
Yeah.
You know, I might not necessarily agree with the religion aspect of it, but it's a good structured place for her. It's a small school, and you know what? If she's gonna learn a sense of spirituality.
Mm-hmm.
When she was younger, she was really, really, really deep into God, and I believe she still is, but she has her own little twist on it.
Yeah.
That she's created on her own.
Mm-hmm.
She takes some of my interests, my crystals and the moon and the grounding, my little practices that I do, and she ties that in with her own spirituality.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's beautiful. I don't push my shit on her. You know,
and that comes back to
because she needs to.
Children also need to be an individual, but an individual with structure.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we grew up with structure. That was our biggest thing, was structure. And when the divorce happened, we lost that structure.
And we went.
There was no structure, and now we look at us now as adults is we get lost as fuck when we don't have any structure in our lives. You know. And that's the nurturing part of it, you know. We realize how important structure is to all of us, you know, and trying to get that back and grasp it. And then there is a time when I used to use drugs, you know. Everybody was like, well, why did you use it? And I knew, like, my brother, he's going to be a part of this, by the way. It's just they're in the middle of hunting season. He would always say that he did it because he liked it. He just did it because he liked it. That was his thing. I did it because I felt normal. I was able to focus. My mind was straight. Yet, growing up, I was never exposed to anybody that did drugs. I went out on my own and I found it on my own, you know. Our parents didn't do that. Growing up, our parents never drank. Ever. They did not drink. The Roy Hurley that y'all know is not the Roy Hurley that I know. It's not the one that April knows, the one Taylor knows, or even my brother knows. We learned different parts of our parents, but we still did not grow up with them drinking until the divorce happened. Mm-hmm. And they just didn't. It wasn't their thing. I know Dad's thing was that he didn't want to expose us to stuff like that. They would throw parties and hang out, and he would be outside drinking a Coke. He would drink fucking Dr. Peppers and Cokes. Like, that was his thing. And he wasn't drinking. And if he did start drinking, he waited till all of us went to bed and we weren't around, and we didn't know he was doing that. And that a lot of respect towards that, because a lot of people don't do that nowadays.
They expose their children to a lot of stuff that
they shouldn't be exposed to.
They're young.
I was watching a movie the other day, and it was based on an It was like Martin Luther King era. Shut up. So there's this little kid, and he's sitting in the stands, and people are using a lot of really, really terrible racial slurs, and the little kid is like looking around, and he's really, really confused because you can see that he doesn't understand why they're doing this. He doesn't understand why people are singling this one person out. He doesn't know what it's for. And so he's just looking around and he's super confused. And at this point, his dad hasn't said anything. And his dad finally like jumps in and says something super not cool. And the second that his dad said something, then the little kid goes and says a racial slur. And it goes to show that like when it comes to kids, they don't see color, they don't see wealth, they see the person that you are. And so
Absolutely.
it comes back to it's this situation that you're in, and it's how you raise your kid. You know, if you're sitting here and you're putting hate into their mouth and you're speaking, that's what they're gonna know.
Yeah, no, exactly. It's like when growing up, hell, dude, you're probably too young to remember. Oh, brother Walt. Walt was my grandpa's best friend, and he was black. And hell, we thought him and grandpa were brothers for the longest dang time. You know, we had no idea that they weren't brothers because he was part of the family and everything. And as children, you don't see that. You don't see people, because it makes no sense. You know, it doesn't make sense why you would look at somebody and see, oh, they're different color than I am, so I'm gonna be an asshole. Yeah.
That just doesn't make sense until you're older, and then it becomes a really big thing.
Yeah, your mind gets warped, you know. There's something that Mom always said to us, you know, treat others the way you would want to be treated.
Exactly.
And man, for the longest time, I was a very ugly person, and I did some very ugly things to people. And I never understood why I was that way until I got older, until I got into therapy, and I started finding who I was as a person and realizing that's wrong. And I started realizing I was treating people that way was because I was treated that way.
Yeah,
And I was treated that way by someone I looked up to, someone I admired, and it's an ugly feeling because no one could understand why I would act like that, or why I would just be closed off.
I feel like it also has to do with like deep down that's how you want to be treated. You know, like before I like really I was okay with the fact of me being gay. I was just like,
You're gay?
really
What the hell?
You're gay?
Yeah, guys.
Since when?
When did this happen?
I was really not okay with it. I was like, cool, do you. I'm not going to be an asshole to you because that's who you are. I totally get that. But like, I'm not okay with it.
Yeah.
And it came down to like, I wasn't happy with myself. And you know, when you are different from the rest of the world in whatever way that is, you don't want to be.
Yeah.
And there's a part of you that hates yourself for being different because you can't change that.
No, let me ask.
You start being assholes to other people is because you're so angry with yourself.
Yeah, no, and let me ask you this. You felt that way because the person that you loved and looked up to treated you that way.
Yeah.
Is that why you felt the way you did? Is because you saw the man that you lived with and helped raise you put off that type of energy, and that comes back to kids see this energy. Kids know these things, you know. You think they don't notice, but it's simple as, well, turn it off like a switch, you know.
Yep.
It's just you can't. As a child, you don't understand or how to comprehend that. As an adult now, you get an anxiety attack. You're just like,
Turn it off.
You know, I'll deal with it later. As an
You
adult.
flip that switch.
Yeah, hilarious. And you say, flip the switch. We're watching this from Vampire Diaries, and they talk about turning off your humanity. You know.
Exactly.
But it's just as kids, you can't do that, man. I remember being little and climbing up on mom's lap, and mom and dad never cried ever. Yet I was the biggest damn crybaby. I
still
cried.
are.
Oh, I know, and I still do. And there's no. It's just.
This thing on TikTok, and you know, when your dad is like super emotional, like emotionless, and doesn't show any, and when your mom's overly emotional, and then it's like, and then there's me. I just bottle everything up until it explodes. And it's
Yeah.
like, aw,
Yeah.
that's so cute. Thank you.
And I think that's like kind of all of our problems, you know.
I've always had really big emotions. I don't know how to
Yes,
control.
we know.
Yeah, we know. You don't know how to feel.
You feel things in extremes.
Yeah, it's either, you know, really high or really low. I don't have a medium ground. I feel everything or I feel nothing.
Yeah.
So that's super dope. That's
Well,
probably.
then again, like, you can track that back, though. Like, when you look at our parents, like, there's our mother who feels so much.
So much.
So much all the time. She feels so much. And she expresses that.
Uh-huh.
And then you have our father who
Feels nothing.
feels nothing and expresses nothing. And so we grew up in that household where there are completely two different things. And so that leaves us in the middle of, like, we weren't taught on how to feel normally. You know, we weren't taught that
How to
there's supposed
process
to be
it.
a middle ground,
Yeah.
but we don't have that.
Which is, I find hilarious because Ethan would tell us stories about dad that
Big
he
old
felt everything, you know, all the time, and then from one day to the next, he just stopped.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm curious on what caused that.
I
You
am
know?
too, because there has to be something. There, you know.
Oh, Kelly knows.
I want to say that was my fault, you know. There's, again, it comes back to you
15
see
and
15 years old and you're in a relationship where it is a very toxic relationship, and your parents see how toxic it is, but you don't want to break up out of that relationship because you want to keep pissing them off. Like I remember being a kid, and all I wanted to do was hurt dad the way he hurt me. And it was literally one day to the next. You know, I've seen that man on his hands and knees crying, and there was one day to the next, you know, and that was my doing. I did my damage, and all because I was stubborn because he hurt me for so long in my life that I wanted to get back. And as a child, you shouldn't feel that way. And when like the divorce happened, it was like our parents regressed in age, and Hunter was raising dad and I was help raising mom. We were all raising each other, and as children, you should never raise your parents. Or as a kid, we shouldn't have to sit here and I shouldn't be 10 years old and having to protect my siblings.
Yeah.
You know, that wasn't my job. That wasn't our job. We were meant to be children. We were meant to be kids. And it's just, and I think that shaped it all, and that shaped everything. How I know that's how I spiraled out and went crazy, because I never got to be a kid. I always had to take care of somebody. And then you grow up and you're just kind of like, damn.
Oh, damn, that sucked.
Well, hello.
That was terrible. I didn't like it at all.
Oh man, when I started seeing my therapist, Brian, my best friend, you know.
I don't think your therapist is supposed to be your best friend.
He's my best friend.
He's your only friend.
Hey.
Let's talk. Okay, April, next week, let's go ahead and talk about these unhealthy relationships that you have.
Right? You have
I
attachment
have
issues.
attachment issues.
And you just you're like a leech, and you just oh, you're listening to me.
Let me tell you everything. But you know,
I'm
like,
in love with you.
hey, come on. When you know, I went off as soon as I started seeing Brian, I just dove right in. There was no like, hi, hello, whatever. It was just like, here are my issues, fix them. And a lot of my childhood, our childhood, is very, very, very repressed. It's locked away behind steel doors and barricaded, and for whatever reason, I don't know what reason, but the memories I do have, I would tell Brian, and I would talk to him about, you know, my relationship with Temperance's dad and all of this shit, and he's like, how the fuck are you so goddamn put together? And I was like, but Brian, I'm not. That's why I'm here.
Yeah.
I'm talking to you right now.
Help me.
But I think that the way that Daddy was so cold. Not that
That's like all you knew.
that's all like there was no, and despite Mom going off the deep end after the divorce, she did what she had to do to make sure that we were more or less taken care of. Like, she made you work at 16 to pay bills that you shouldn't have had to do.
I sold guns.
You did shit that you should have never had to do. It was never your responsibility. She should have been able to do it on her own.
Mm-hmm.
But and even before the divorce, she did what she could, because y'all would fucking pick on me about my buck teeth. She got me braces.
Beef, and then what happened?
I never wore my retainer.
Yeah, guess what?
Hey, it'd be like that sometimes. But I never felt like I had a choice other than to deal with my bullshit, because despite Daddy being cold and Mom being Mom, they always they portrayed it as if they were dealing with their shit when they weren't. They were repressing everything, suppressing it all.
And I think it comes back to like, how do we marry our parents? That comes back to, but that also comes back to, because that's all you knew. But that's all we know.
Mm-hmm.
I know for a good while, a lot of the women I dated them because I had mommy issues. Sorry, Mom. We've talked about it. I forgave you. We moved on. But that's a lot of the issues, and I acted the way I acted. I'm not saying my dad wasn't a man, but the man I grew up with was all I knew how to act.
Yeah.
Was acting like a son of a bitch. That's how I knew how to act. And it was not fair. It's just like you were with Nefty, and you were in that relationship because that's what you knew growing up.
Yeah.
That's what we go after the love we think we deserve. When you beat and batter someone so many damn times, you call someone a dumbass enough times, they're gonna believe they're a dumbass. Plain and fucking simple. You call someone stupid, or you give them all that unwanted love, you're gonna pursue what? Someone who cannot love, who cannot possess that emotion.
Because that's all
to
you
love.
know.
That's all you know. And again, we were children. We were kids. We didn't know any better.
Yeah.
None of us know any better. And then we talk about it now and we can talk about it openly and feel comfortable and not be upset. Like, did you forgive yourself for everything that you went through in that time frame? Did you move on from that? You realize, I know what I don't want.
Mm-hmm.
I know what I don't want when I went through my phases with women. I know what I don't want. I know what I want now out of life. And I know who I don't want to be like, I think we've been someone we hated in the mirror. We look in the mirror and we became someone we hated. And we know that that's not what I want. And there's a quote that I've seen, be the person you needed when you were a child.
I love that quote.
Be that person you needed when you needed as a child. And I think that's like with me, why I'm involved with the girls, or do things and try to help, or try to do this or try to do that, because we didn't have that.
Yeah.
Our parents did it in their own weird way. But man, sometimes it wasn't enough.
No.
But that kind of goes, because everybody has those thoughts, like, I want to be better than my parents were to me.
Oh yeah.
So then it makes you think, like, how are you supposed to have any ill feelings towards our parents?
Very easily.
Are they trying to be better than what their parents were to them? It's a full circle.
I had a conversation with Mom on our way back from Pleasanton, kind of regarding that stuff, about how she was, I guess, post-divorce, probably, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't remember the whole conversation. No. We were talking about, not right now, April.
Yeah.
Not right now, April.
April, not right now.
Shut up.
Hey, you guys want to hang out? No, not right now.
No.
I gotta go.
Growing up, it was just me and Kelly. And then Hunter came along, and Hunter and Kelly were both they got all the attention, so it was a very, not right now, April. Like, I needed something, Mom would tell me not right now. It is a huge stem on my abandonment issues, on my attachment issues. I know this because of Brian. But she was apologizing to me about for it, which was like the first time Mom's really apologized for anything. And she was saying, she was trying to explain it. And being a parent now, I understand. I have 2 kids. One is very low maintenance, one is very high maintenance. Now we're dark because Kelly broke the light. But the light died.
Her light died.
Okay, I guess we're gonna stay dark. Or are we gonna turn on the light?
I'll probably turn on the light.
Well, as a parent, I can see it. I understand. She never meant it. Maybe she did. She said she did it. But she never meant it like she didn't have time for me. She was just in the middle of fucking doing something. So with the kids, Sawyer's super, super high maintenance. And there's a lot of times Temperance is trying to tell me something or she's trying to whatever. And Sawyer is overpowering because she doesn't know how to shut the fuck up, to be frank. Love her, but she does not know how to stop talking. And instead of I will not use the phrase, not right now, because of how that made me feel as a child. Everybody loves to tell me how much Mom and I are similar, and it drives me fucking batshit because I don't want to be like Mom. I don't. There's too many things about her that just...
Yeah. Everybody calls me Roy Jr.
Yeah.
They're like, Hunter shouldn't be Roy Jr. You are Roy Jr.
Like, thanks, guys. But because of the way... And Mom didn't want to be like her parents. And she wasn't like her parents. She was very proactive in our childhood. Yeah. She was always there for everything.
She supported us even when she was fucking tired.
Mm-hmm. She was at all of our games. She did a lot for us. And but she didn't see the neglect that she was doing because she was too focused on that. Mm-hmm. Which it happens. There's not a fucking parenting. There's no parenting for
there isn't. There's not,
So with that, I take the things, the damages that our parents instilled on us, and I'm trying to prevent that from being on my children. Mm-hmm. Because there is the nature, the kids are naturally a certain way. Mm-hmm. But
do you feed it? Do you feed the dark parts and it's like the whole emo situation with Temperance. Everybody's just kind of like, watch that. You need to watch that because we went through that phase. I was a cutter and I went through that phase, and you don't want to nurture it too much, and it causes her to jump off the end. But you also want her to be your own person.
Correct. And that's where, as a parent, you just have to be vigilant. Is that the word?
Yeah.
You keep an eye on them, and when things start going a little south, when
you say something.
Before I split with Spencer, Temperance was very much in her room all the time. She kept to herself. She was very quiet. She wasn't her weird little self. And I think it was her feeding off of how not well I was doing. Mm-hmm. After the separation, the reason, one of the main things with the separation is I was neglecting my children because I was too focused on my side. My big side.
Me.
Yeah. And that's not fair to the girls.
No, being selfish.
Mm-hmm.
We've talked about it. We've seen what selfish parents can do.
Yeah.
And we saw it. We saw it for years.
Well, after the separation, I threw my ass in therapy. Now I have my best friend Brian. And
your therapist is not supposed to be your best friend. Again, non-disclosure. When he cancels an appointment.
The end of the world.
The end of the world. Start crying in the shower.
Regress back to childhood.
Oh my gosh.
But I started spending a lot more time with the girls, and I took the time to do stuff with just me and Temperance. And it's showing in how she acts on a daily basis. She's a quiet little girl. She likes to keep to herself. She doesn't talk a lot until she does, you know. But she is reserved.
Mm-hmm.
She's very, very shy. But as a parent, I'm not going to nurture the quiet.
Yeah.
I'm going to respect it.
Yeah.
But I'm also going to, hey, baby, come talk to me. Let's cuddle up. What are you doing? Show me your drawings. Like,
and exactly, and I think that's what a lot of parents mess up, screw up on, is that you nurture that, you know? Like, he made a joke, where were we at, that I took long showers. And you were sitting there, well, you used to take long showers too. And I was like, yeah, because I was bleeding out in the shower, you know? Like, we make jokes about it now, but like back then, it's just...
Yeah.
And our parents, they let me do that, you know? And you may not realize it's you're like, oh, they're just taking a long shower, but you're not checking up on them, and you're nurturing that darkness. You're nurturing that.
Now that you think, like, you bring that up, Temperance does take long showers. I let her
She's
lock.
like half naked half the time. So
Yeah.
No.
Well, yeah, no shit. But I periodically knock on that door.
Yeah.
I knock on that door and I make sure she's, you know, she's okay.
Absolutely.
Because who knows what the hell she's doing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you're in the privacy of your bathroom with the door locked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And at least, you know, if she's going through something. Yeah, no shit. God damn. But
It's just,
that little distraction.
Yeah. That what?
When I was younger, I was quiet. I was a quiet kid until, unless I knew you.
Yeah.
And nobody ever got me out of being quiet. Nobody ever, like, Mom always went and she ordered my food for me because I didn't want to talk to
Because
the
you're a
people at the
fucking princess, dude.
I know, as it should be.
Yeah. Okay.
Nobody ever got me out of that. Like, Taylor, go do that for yourself. Go talk to those people.
And now you're like a princess.
Now when I have to go talk to somebody to order food, I freak the hell out because I don't have that experience of, like, that you're supposed to get when you're 10 years old.
Yeah.
Going to, like, order your own stuff.
That awkwardness, you know, that coming out of your shell. And I think that would be another great topic to have on future podcasts is how I dealt with my anxiety or depression. I tackled it head on. I hate being in crowds. I absolutely hate it. I hate being around people. I do not like it. You know how I dealt with it? I forced myself to go into crowds. You know, you force yourself into situations that you know that you are going to have to conquer. And that comes back to you need to become not more superior, like superior than who you were yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you need to, our goal in life, I think a human's goal in life should always be, you should
be better
always
than
you were yesterday for everything.
Yeah, even if it's just the smallest thing, like doing the fucking dishes.
Mm-hmm.
You know? Like,
Taylor, not talking to people.
Yeah.
God, you used to drive me crazy when you would do that, dude.
Don't be rude.
Hey, but look at you now. You're on a podcast talking to strangers.
I know, I'm never ever gonna listen to this because I hear my voice and screaming.
I know, dude. Wait till I have to like chop and edit all of
You're
this.
gonna
so
be
I can
like,
listen to it all.
delete. This is never gonna air.
I hate all of this.
Yeah.
Can we like put voiceovers or something? You know,
Change our voices.
Change our voices.
Blur our faces out.
like what was it, Maury or Dr. Phil, where like
They
the
put the blackout over it. Yeah. No, but that's absolutely, and I think all of this comes back to nature versus nurture. Like with our children, with us as adults, who we are now, and our minds and the way they work. Kids are impressionable.
Mm-hmm.
And even then, if young adults don't mature, they don't mature and grow out of that. Even as adults, man, there's 30, 40-year-olds that I know that they run with the crowd.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's all they know how to do. They don't know how to think for individuality, you know?
Well, it's a big thing going on right now. Everything going on right now on the border.
Yeah.
It's two sides.
Two sides battling each other.
And they're just going head on, and they're both screaming and raging, and nobody's trying to come up with a fucking solution.
No one
Because
wants to
they
say
won't
I
listen.
think that's the most frustrating part is that everybody's sitting around saying, look at this, look how terrible, whatever. Yeah, sure, that might be horrible. But what are you, if it's so horrible,
What are you doing about it?
Fix it?
Mm-hmm.
What, you're sitting behind your phone, you're scrolling and you're retweeting, but you're not doing anything.
Justice warriors.
Yeah.
You're not actually getting educated on these things. You're just talking about it, and you're not making
be the change you want to see in the world. And I think, you want to sit and work on yourself and be better. It's like crying about depression. And I think a lot of that when we were kids, like we said earlier, is like we go after the love that we think we deserve, and we love these people or want to be loved because it's fixing that hole that's inside of you. You look for this love to fix yourself, thinking love is gonna fix it. Someone else's love is going to fix you. When in reality, it's your own love that fixes you.
Yeah.
It's that. And it took myself to realizing that when I learned what self-love was, when I pursued my own journey and became a better person. And I didn't learn that from my parents. I didn't see that from them because they were all about, I'm gonna get you back. I'm gonna get you back. You're hurting me. I'm gonna hurt you. And that's not what it is. That's not love. That's not the way anybody should live their life, and that's not what kids should be seeing.
I think it's funny that here she comes. The things that we learn from our parents by their mistakes. I think it's
Wait
just
there.
What, baby?
I'm not tired.
BRB. Come on.
No, so
Yeah, no, absolutely, dude. And I think it's important to learn.
I think what the thing that gets me though, and is yes, in a lot of cases it does come down to like how you were brought up and the things that you saw.
Mhm.
But what do you do when somebody goes out and they rape 15 women or kill like 3 people, and then you go and you track it back and they had a good life.
Mhm.
Like their family, they had money, they
had love,
were
they had
loved, they
yeah.
had so many people around them, and yet they still went out and they did these things.
Mhm.
So were they born that way? Were they born to be terrible people? Like,
And it's just like anger, dude. Anger, like, I knew Dad as always being angry and getting mad about situations, and that flip of a switch of turning to a normal person to anger.
yeah.
Everybody's human. Everybody has a breaking point, a pushing point, and man, I remember my breaking point was I sat and said I wanted to kill myself, and Dad and Hunter took off to Mexico, and left me there like that, and it kind of made my breaking point hit, realizing I'm not enough. I'm never going to be enough. So I continued slicing my wrist. I continued cutting myself up. Then it took our mom seeing my cuts, and I remember Mom handing me a knife saying, "Here, you cutting yourself is like you cutting me. You do it." And I sat and cried. I don't think I've ever had my heart break like that, knowing that my mom wanted me to hurt her the way I was hurting myself.
You don't think about it that way. You don't think that I'm doing this to myself, and you don't think that it's hurting other people, because when you're in that moment, you don't think that anybody else loves you or that anybody else cares about you. So you're doing this.
You can have all the love in the world and still be a depressed person. And I think that's the misunderstanding with mental disorders, is that it's so much more than that. But it's also, you can take a pill to make yourself feel better, but you also have to work at it yourself. You have to keep doing that.
It's not a long-term fix. It was never meant to be a long-term, okay, you're done. Like, it's supposed to help rewire what's already screwed up so that you can actually get somewhere with it. It's that extra little push of like, all right, here you go. I helped you. Now figure out what's going on and fix it for yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's sad, man. It's just, all we can do is hopefully this podcast can reach someone that needs help, And that's like our main goal with this whole podcast is we want to drink bourbon and yes, cause controversy and go crazy with it. We want to bring people on and go have at it. But I think also we want to be able to reach people. We want to be able to make it okay to talk about these things. You don't have to go on Facebook and cry yourself a river to get sympathy from others. I don't give sympathy towards people like that. People that cry on Facebook and stuff, I just can't. I can't do that because you look like a whiny baby. You have a problem, dude, call me up and let's talk about it, man to man. Let's sit here and do shit out and talk about it. because all you're doing is you make yourself look weak. You know, what are you doing to do better? Life can throw all the curveballs at you, and you can keep striking out. But that one home run, you hit that one fucking home run.
You see the ball hit the back?
You are going to always want to continue to hit that ball. That you get that high, like you got a tattoo today, and you're on that freaking high, and now you get to look at your arm and. Yeah, dude, and you look at it now, man, and you just feel that power in it. You know that you gave yourself power, and that's what it's about.
You know, and unfortunately, all four of us, have gone through a lot of shit.
Yeah.
And you know, there's still a lot of things that we have to overcome, that we have to heal from, that we have to deal with. People we have to forgive.
Mm-hmm.
But I think, in my opinion, that all four of us are trying to.
Yeah, we're doing the best
And
we can.
the best that we can, to the best of our abilities, in whichever way that we are capable of doing. And one thing that we've all inherited from fuck knows where is we're pretty good at talking about shit.
Yeah.
And if our story, our trials and tribulations can reach somebody, and the words that we choose happen to trigger something in their mind and their heart, to inspire them to make that change, to make that effort to be better, then hey, fucking hell yeah.
There's something that I've been living by when I started my journey with Norse paganism and self-power and fuck equality and all this other stuff. And there's this guy that I listened to, his name is Paul Wagner, and he said, ignite a fire so bright that you can drag people out of the darkness to your light. And do not let those people put out your fire, because there is going to be people that want to put out your fire and take away the greatness that you are trying to create for yourself. And you just throw them sticks on it, you throw that fuel, and you keep going. You got to keep fighting the good fight for yourself and for the people you care about around you.
Yeah. And that's all you can do. I mean, one of the biggest things that I say a lot to people is you are the most important person in your life. Your family, your best friend, your significant other, your kids, they're all going to leave eventually in one way or another.
Yeah.
You know, however it may be. They move away, they leave you, they die, whatever. All you have is you.
Yep.
And if you're broken inside, you're never going to be able to hold on to yourself. You're going to get lost in
You'll be that old man drinking himself away at a bar. Well, all my kids left me, so I come here and get drunk now.
Yeah.
Well, that's something real proud of, you know? Like, and a lot of the younger generation, like, oh, that's fucking awesome, you know?
But it's
is
not.
It? But
it's
is
not.
it?
That's not awesome.
It's not.
I mean, I like to sit at the bar and drink my sorrows away sometimes.
Everybody
But
does, dude.
it's not who I am.
No.
You know, when you're that person that does that all the fucking time, that's not something to be proud of. I fucking love to drink, but I drink because I just enjoy it and I'm having a good time. And that's a huge shift on where I was 5 years ago.
Absolutely.
5 years ago, I was drinking to forget. I was drinking because I was so fucked in the head that I didn't want to deal with it. You know, I might still drink sometimes to not deal with it in that moment, but for the most part, I'm handling my shit. I got my best friend Brian.
Yeah.
You know, but you shouldn't make negative things your identity, and that's a huge part that people are doing now.
I think people will really, and I hate to say it, because I'm not to take away from people that do struggle with mental illness, because I get it, but I think it's also becoming such a trend in a way of like, ooh, you're depressed, ooh, depression season's coming up. Like, babe, that's not cute.
No,
that's
it's not.
cute, because for the people that really do get depressed during a certain time of year or are depressed 24/7, you are taking away from them.
Yep.
You're taking away from the seriousness of it's getting cold and it's getting close to Christmas and people are going to start killing themselves. You're taking away from that.
Yeah, no,
That's
it's
cute and quirky. It's not.
it's a trendsetter, and I think people have become too addicted to sympathy.
Oh yeah.
People have become very addicted to sympathy. They become addicted to anything now that you become an addict to, you know. But I think if we again come back to make a difference in someone's life, saying, look, we've conquered this. I've conquered addiction. I've conquered depression, anxiety, suicidal tendencies. You conquer it. You conquered from being a drunken mess to
Being a half drunk mess.
yeah. Taylor, you've accepted who you are as a person, and yes, I'm a lesbian, and you don't sit there and hold that resentment to yourself anymore. You conquered it, and
It's a beautiful thing. It's a really beautiful thing. We don't. All of us are.
We don't give
we're
ourselves-
all kind of mentally unstable in our own ways.
Yes,
but
no,
we
but
don't
we
allow
don't-
it to control us.
Yes, and I don't think we give ourselves enough credit. Even people will sit and say, well, you're being selfish because you're like, I conquered this today. There's one thing I'm absolutely proud of is being almost 5 years sober from drugs. Like, that is such, and I don't give myself enough credit
You don't.
for that. I don't give myself enough credit. You don't give yourself enough credit when you weren't drinking for a couple months, you don't give yourself enough credit, you realize when you have that drink, then you're like, oh, I'm going to give myself credit now, and it's like, nah, dude, give yourself credit when you're not having that.
I think people also somehow the word selfishness has become such a negative thing, and it is sometimes. But also, it's okay to be a little bit selfish.
Well, it's a part of making boundaries and stuff.
To do something for you, it's okay to do that, and that doesn't mean that you're a bad person or that you're selfish and don't care about anybody else.
Well, I was actually having a conversation about you recently when you were going through a really, really, really tough time, and you chose yourself instead of helping your significant other through her tough time.
Yeah.
And because of that, your relationship ended up ending.
Yeah.
And I think it's amazing. It sucks that the relationship ended, but the fact that you chose your mental stability over anybody else, a lot of people see that selfish, and it is selfish. But it's selfish in the right way.
Yeah.
Because how can you help somebody else when you have nothing left to give?
Mm-hmm. Yep. And I think that was a lot of problems growing up that I've realized that all of us have done that is we let people take things from us that we cannot get back.
Yeah.
And that comes back to us, the way we were raised and we were growing up. We allowed these people to, we thought it was love.
Mm-hmm.
We thought it was love getting knocked down and not being able to get brought back up, We thought it was normal to get beaten. Now, I'm not saying beaten like child abuse, but I'm beaten as calling someone a dumbass, man.
Yeah.
Calling someone, worthless, or all you fucking do is stay in your room and read a goddamn book.
Hey, it's me.
But you don't realize, as a child, you can tell a kid enough that they believe it. They believe they're worthless. You believe, not right now, is literally your whole fucking life, When you finally said no, right now, And a lot of people can't do that, and I feel like it's become normal,
Yeah.
One of the things I am very proud of that took me many, many, many years to develop is having a voice. If I have an opinion, I fucking say it.
Yeah.
If I whatever it may be, my relationship with Temperance's dad, I didn't have a voice. I couldn't talk to my family. I couldn't anything. I couldn't speak unless spoken to, etc., etc.
But then it came back to
and
growing up. You
growing
did not
up.
have a voice growing up.
Correct.
We felt like if we spoke up about something, the repercussions of it was
greater. It wasn't.
Dad was
worth
going to
it.
ignore us, and Mom was going to try to figure out and understand what she can do with it, and then put it off.
Yeah.
And that was what we thought was normal.
So we had no voice.
It's better to fucking stay quiet and let it eat at you alive.
Or especially if it was a disagreement. If you disagreed with something, oh hell no. That's a big no. Yeah. So finding my voice despite being silenced for so long is something that I'm very, very proud of. Sometimes I'm a little much. But hey, it be like that sometimes,
I think that the thing with you though is that ew, it does not like how it sounded. I think that you pretended for so long that you did have a voice, because I remember being, I don't even know how old, being younger, being like 10 or 11, and I would look at you and I'm like, okay, I can see that you're pretending that you have a voice, and that if somebody says something
Oh yeah.
It wasn't
No.
genuine.
So for you to actually sit here and actually have your voice,
Have everything that I
not just be
pretended.
pretending anymore,
Yeah.
is the amazing thing.
Yeah. There's a lot of things that I pretended for a long time, for outside purposes, whatever, that I'm coming into now as, almost 30. Took almost 30 fucking years, but it'd be like that.
Yeah.
You got
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, it's better now than when I'm 40 or 50 and still setting my ways when I was 20. Like, that's not okay.
No.
So, thank you, TK. You're so sweet.
Yeah.
You pay attention to me.
That's disgusting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, no, absolutely. Well,
Nurture versus nature.
nurture versus nature. And I hope any of y'all that took the time out to listen to us take something from this today. We're here if you want to talk about it. I mean, open arms, dude. Like, seriously, it's okay to talk. It's okay to converse about it. It'll be all right. You'll get past it. Trust me, you will make it past. The more I can't, or I don't know how, you tell yourself enough times, you're never gonna get it. Your mind is the most powerful thing that you can possess.
Absolutely.
And take care of her, nurture her, give her life. If you have a child that admires you, take care of them. I like to drink too, and my nieces will not get in a vehicle with me if I've been drinking, because I don't want them to see that. I don't want to give that to them. I don't want to show that to them. If there is a child in your life that admires you, be that child's hero. Be your own goddamn hero. Save our children. Be there for them.
Be the person that you needed as a child, like you said.
Absolutely.
That person you
Absolutely.
craved, and nurture these children the way that you weren't nurtured.
Yeah.
Like, nature plays a really, really big part on a person's being, but the nurture.
If you can be there for them.
Yeah, that nurture that you give them, whatever, choose to be a positive influence on them and help them grow and to be a better person. Yes, they're naturally a certain way, but that outside
But you don't know how
force,
much that could help.
that outside
Just
force makes all the
saying something
difference.
kind.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So I
Well.
think ultimately it's the whole thing.
Yeah. Well, I hope y'all can take something from this. Again,
Nice and rambly.
we're gonna sign off. We're gonna try to drop a new episode every month, and that's our goal. April and Taylor are going to try to pick the next topic for our next discussion, and hopefully in the future this shoots off and we can bring people on and
That'd be
get real fucking controversial on this
Can
shit.
you have guest stars?
Yeah,
Well, yeah.
absolutely. So, all right. Until next time, we are the Desert Heathens.
Hey.
Bye, guys.
Oh man.
I think you have to hold it down. How do you turn?
We're gonna sign off this podcast with Marcus Aurelius. We feel like he's somebody that we have turned to for a lot of inspiration. He's a great ruler of Rome, and April will read an excerpt from Meditations.
In any given material circumstance, what can be done or said to the soundest effect? Whatever that is, it is your power to do or to say it, and make no pretense of obstacles in the way.
Y'all have a great night.